Yeah, it's very exciting. We are live. Hello, world. How are you? Welcome to Uproar Live. We're here with Ellyn. Ellyn,
Hello.
welcome
Thank
to
you.
our, I don't know what this is. It's not a TV show, but it's, something.
A live
Um,
show.
yeah, the live show. That's right. So Ellyn is a recent participant in our Motor City Wesley Conspiracies of Goodness, and she has since transitioned into life beyond school. And so we thought it'd be good to check in with her, see how things are going, and to have her reflect a little bit on her conspiracy of goodness that she did just a few months ago in the before times.
Yeah. It's
So,
hard to
Ellyn,
think about that.
yeah, right. So, where are you now? Where are you doing these kind of during the pandemic times?
Uh,
Yeah.
well, it's been kind of crazy since I've graduated. I've gotten married, moved into the parsonage with my husband, um, who's a pastor, Corey Simon. And he's coming to sit right next to me.
There he is.
And so it's been kind of wild to imagine that I was just a student back before December, because that's when I graduated, was this past December. And it's just insane to think that life has moved so quickly, and now we're in a pandemic, and it's hard to remember life before the pandemic, what was going on before that. I'm not 100% certain, but
Yeah.
that's kind of where I am right now.
A week before this started, we were seeing Letterkenny live, and now the idea of being in a crowded place with 2,000-3,000 people is
Unimaginable.
insanity.
Yeah, it feels like that never happened before, right? That it was just like part of like J.R.R. Tolkien had like invented that idea or something. It was just
Yeah.
in books. Yeah, I'm glad you confirmed that Corey is the pastor at the church and you're not just squatting in the parsonage.
No, I'm not. Well, I am squatting, but also I live here.
Well, thanks for kind of letting us know where you are. And before December, you were finishing up at U of M Dearborn. Yes.
Yep.
And we had the opportunity to support a $100 conspiracy of goodness project with you. Can you tell us a little bit about where that $100 kind of led you and what did you do for your conspiracy?
Yeah. So, I as a job, up until just very recently, I worked as a substitute teacher. So I worked in 4 different counties actually as a sub, and I was able to sort of see the differences in schools depending on what neighborhood I was teaching in, what area I was teaching in, and I could see the difference in disparity that the students faced from day to day, what the students' needs were based on like where they were living and, um, you know, ethnic, racial background as well, um, where they sort of got placed on sort of a scale of margins. And I was like, Detroit is a place that the Detroit public school system has been constantly defunded and really put through the ringer. And the people who have suffered the most is the kids. So I wanted to look at some Detroit schools that really could use some extra help. And doing my research, I found the Clara Barton Elementary, and they are an elementary school K-6 that had just opened up this year again, after 9 years, I believe, of being closed because Detroit had closed that school up and they had so many extra kids like overflowing from the other elementaries. They had to open up another building. So they open up this building that's been abandoned for 9 years and looks like it's been abandoned for 9 years. There's still graffiti all over the building. And they're opening it up to elementary schoolers because they have literally nowhere else to go. And I meet with the principal, and she is just an astonishing person. I forget her name right now, but she is an astonishing lady. And she's like, yes, we could definitely use some help. So I ended up raising, I think, $200. And I provided uniforms for the school because that was what they needed the most. They do navy blue bottoms and then a yellow top because they want to make sure that, none of the kids are going missing or anything. It's just a way to like keep track of how many kids are there, and it's much easier if they're all wearing the same colors. So I went ahead and got a bunch of uniforms for them and dropped them off in a few big boxes, and they were brand new uniforms, new clothes and everything. And I don't know where they went from there, but I just really hope that they provided kids with something to wear for let's say I did that in November, for the next 3 months they went to school until everything shut down.
Oh man, I didn't realize it. I guess it hadn't kind of connected. They had been closed, they reopened, and then all of a sudden, this is the year.
Yep. And just getting to meet some of the kids, like I was going to volunteer a little bit in the classrooms, and then never got the chance, and then was going to look at doing more donations and work with them. And now the school's shut down again. So I'm like, okay, maybe next year.
You shared a photo with us, and here is some of the uniforms that you were able to provide.
Yep, that was a box of some of the really small uniforms, because a lot of them they needed were really tiny, because some of these kindergartners were the ones that really needed the clothes, because they go through clothes like crazy.
Yeah.
Ripping holes in them and stuff like that. So a lot of
this was the first year that our son was in a school with uniform, and he didn't really care too much. In fact, I think it served that purpose of everybody's in the same boat. We're all, we all wear this thing. But as soon as he didn't have to go to school, he has basically been in printed pajama bottoms the whole rest of the time.
That's okay. Me too.
That's right. He's just totally in step with the zeitgeist, right?
Yeah, but in the middle school I went to when I was younger also had a school uniform. So I actually really loved it. I went from going to a public school where there was no uniform and really feeling like certain people couldn't fit in because of what they could or couldn't afford to wear. Right. And that sort of took the guesswork out of it. And also a polo shirt and just regular khaki pants is a lot less expensive than trying to buy these like brand name fancy clothes. So it's also a little easier on the parents to buy. Yeah.
Totally. In some ways there was clear, in my experience as a, middle schooler, there was clearly a uniform and in our school, and it was for me, Zeke Averici pants, and woven belts, and my family couldn't really afford everything, and so you either have this uniform that everyone has, or you basically have the uniform for the cool kids or the resourced kids, and everybody else is looked down upon in some ways.
Yep. So the uniform takes that out a little bit, and I like that.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any good writing about the ascetic kind of brown robes of monastic orders in the past, and how that changes mindset for kind of spiritual concerns along with just learning or something.
There's a lot to be said about the limiting of choice actually being a more freeing thing.
Yeah.
In that, because we have so many choices presented to us, we actually feel more stressed. We feel more in bondage, to use the biblical language.
Yeah, sure.
And when our options are more limited, we actually find that we have an easier time processing, because that's how our brains work.
Wow. See, my 5-year-old's just ahead of the curve, right?
He is.
Oh man. Now, Ellyn, I think that we gave you $100 for the conspiracy, and it quickly grew. I think the total actually was like 220. How did that happen? What is it about doing a project like this that all of a sudden more resources show up like that?
Well, it was kind of neat to watch it like double like that, but also I have very supportive parents who were like, yeah, we'll donate to that, and very quickly logged on, and they're like, we're so proud of our daughter, and just sharing it with the family. And so I was like, I wasn't too surprised that it did grow because of them. They're very kind and supportive, and my mother, she'll she'll shell out money to the things that she is very supportive of, and I'm one of those things.
Well, it's great to have your family as the core of your super fans, you know?
Yeah, and it was one of the things with working with like the Detroit public schools that I noticed is my family doesn't do too much with Detroit before. Like they hadn't really been involved with anything in Detroit. My dad was actually a little nervous. He's like, I'm nervous about you going into Detroit. I was like, well, Detroit's amazing, so I'm gonna go into Detroit. And I love Detroit. So it was a thing. There's almost like a dissonance there where it's like if you keep yourself separated from Detroit, you look into it like you're a big outsider and you have to stay out. But if you're going into it, it's really this amazing place that has just been deprived of a lot of its resources, but still remains alive and still has such a beautiful beating heart.
You were working one school, one classroom, a very specific kind of project, but it had those other kind of broader connections that you were navigating.
Yep.
Well, Ellyn, thanks so much for that work. And actually, I think your donate button is still up on our website, motorcitywesley.org. So if anybody wanted to still contribute, just know that Ellyn, I'm sure you could get it to the right spot.
Oh yeah.
And you can go over there and support. If you have a passion for navy blue and bright light yellow polos.
Yeah, like a light, I don't know, lemony yellow.
If that is your jam, just let Ellyn know and click that button. You can donate to her project. We also wanted to check in with you guys. You have been starring in some live streams on Facebook, doing some funny things, and they involve a craft item, an artisan practice that Corey you do. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing lately?
Sure. One of the things that I recently got into and have had this interest for a while is I've recently been able to get into blacksmithing.
Yeah.
Which has always been something that I've wanted to do, but have lacked the ability to get started because you kind of have to know where to go to be trained and learn how to do it. And I didn't want to just jump in and immediately burn myself, or just create a bunch of destroyed metal. And so I took a class, and then I immediately burned myself.
Very badly. It took 4 weeks to heal, and I had to dress the wounds.
Oh no! Well, it's really good to know that it's a partnership right from the get-go.
Yeah, but we made it through. We're healed up. So, and it was a post-forging accident rather than a forging accident.
He means he didn't burn himself on the coal or the metal. It was the quenching oil.
Oh man!
It was very hot oil that I sloshed on my hand.
Oh jeez.
So that was a lovely experience. But no, I actually grabbed a couple of the pieces. I grabbed a piece and then I grabbed what I made it out of. So I started out with a shotgun that had been donated, and I cut it down. So this is just a piece of the barrel, as you can see, pretty basic. But then I was able to forge it down into a garden spade.
Nice. Literal swords into plowshares.
Yep.
Moment.
Yep. And so I pulled that inspiration out of what you just referenced, the Isaiah passage, the Micah passage, speaking of that prophetic witness of they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, and nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and neither shall they learn war anymore.
Yeah. And what's the organization?
And the organization for that is Raw Tools, which I'm a part of that network. And so they're across the country, and they take donations of guns that people offer, and they disassemble them, and in some cases some of the spots where you can take the weapon off to drop off, they actually are able to blacksmith it right there and turn it into a spade or a mattock or a shovel or whatever the case might be.
Not as many pruning hooks these days?
Not too many.
I really wish we had known about raw tools, or that you had had your operation going at the point that we were moving my grandma out of a facility that she was in and to another one. And lo and behold, was a 6-shooter handgun just in a random dresser drawer that my dad found. And I think he kind of gingerly took it to the police department, figuring they could do something with it. They took it off his hands. But it would have been really great to have been able to participate in this kind of witness. The idea of rolling an anvil to like a state house somewhere and, literally doing this in front of folks to call attention to the epidemic of gun violence in our country.
Yeah, and that had actually been one of the plans that we were going to be doing. It was going to be next Friday, actually.
Oh yeah,
Friday. Yeah, next Friday. Yeah. It was going to be a gun buyback in Detroit, actually, with Cass Community and John
right
spearheading that. And I was going to. The plan had been that I would be there doing a blacksmithing demonstration, beating some of the donated guns into tools that day. But obviously, that didn't fan out, and so I had to make do with what I could.
Yeah. Now, are you when you're doing your live stream, are you sending people to Raw Tools to make donations for that kind of thing? So can you kind of still participate in that kind of work?
Yeah, I usually put up. So for the live stream we did on Tuesday, we had the website for Raw Tools going on the bottom of the screen, which is rawtools.org. And the other plan I have for the web, or for the tools that I made during the live stream, is that I'm going to put them up for auction on eBay.
Nice.
Probably, and donate all the proceeds from that to the Poor People's Campaign, and then if I can find a GoFundMe page for the family of Ahmed Aubrey, donate the other half to that.
Well, we are good friends with the Wayne State Students Demand Action Group, and last week on live, we were talking with Megan Dombrowski, who helps lead that team. A lot of students who have grown up in the era of school shootings are now really advocating and mobilizing for gun sense voters, and getting politicians into positions where they can make some better choices about how we operate with firearms, and at least in our state. And it's really part of a broader movement on the part of Students Demand Action National in every town to working toward registering new voters who will pledge to vote for gun sense issues. So we really appreciate the way that the work you're doing kind of brings that into a visual that is just it's very poignant. Now, here's another question for you all. We are really glad to have worked with people at various campuses around Metro Detroit, and Motor City Wesley is trying to imagine life beyond COVID-19 and thinking about how can we do that even better? How can we make it to more campuses? How can we meet more people? How can we engage them? Both in the three things that we care most about, which are community, creativity, and conspiracy, all for God's goodness in the world. So the way that we're imagining that is through the idea of missional food trucks. And I wondered if we could just give you all an opportunity, if you were to have or to design or build or launch a missional food truck. I wonder what would the food truck be? What would it serve? Where would you take it? And how would it create missional goodness in the world? Do you guys want to take a stab at answering that?
Yeah. As you were like patting me, trying to stop me from doing what I was doing, because I was looking up something very specifically for this. So
okay.
But why don't you go ahead? I'll do my bit.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, one of the things that Jesus mentions in the gospel is in the Gospel of Luke, especially, he talks about the worker deserving their wages, and we find that same thought kind of repeated in James, James 5, I think, where he talks about the workers being denied their wages. And so one of the ideas that I am always playing with, if I were ever to be able to open up a coffee shop, which, let's face it, is every pastor under the age of 50's dream.
Yes, exactly. It's everybody's retirement plan too, right?
But the entire structure of how that would work would be that it's effectively a nonprofit, and all of the wages, all of the profits that are beyond, all of the profits go directly to the workers.
Nice.
And so the workers, however much they are able to make over the course of their shifts, that's what they get. That's what they take home. And so that might look different depending on the day. Like some days might be busier than others. And I don't know, and I don't know entirely what that would look like because I'm not well versed in economy, unfortunately. But that would be in my vision a way to pursue something, a more just and equitable society in terms of providing people what they earn rather than what society decides their labor is worth.
I love it. And in a food truck like that, the process itself is the product for justice and equity. That's cool.
Yeah, and so if it was a coffee truck, for instance, it would also be to the best of our abilities getting coffee that is fair trade.
Yeah, nice. I love it. Well, okay, we're writing that down, and that's on our short list of cool food trucks to have. Where would you take it?
Oh goodness. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know Detroit that well. Unfortunately, probably some of the more disenfranchised areas that don't have access to coffee shops.
Oh, nice. Okay, so maybe out in some of the neighborhoods, like a lot of conversation in Detroit is about there's this kind of downtown thing, there's this midtown thing, and that's where all kind of the corporate money goes, right?
Yeah.
So you're envisioning a coffee place that can kind of make its way out to those under caffeinated areas of the city.
Well, and it might even contain it might even be a traveling co-op instead of a coffee shop, for instance.
Oh, nice.
Where people buy into it and it delivers the produce.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. Because you'd certainly park it and have people come to you, but along the way, you can drop off the fresh milk and produce and that kind of thing.
Whatever the case might be, yeah.
Eggs from the chickens from your backyard, whatever.
Yep. That's one of the things that we've been using this quarantine to do. We've been using some of our privilege to try to be a little more self-sustaining, even a little bit, and working towards being able to better provide for ourselves and hopefully in time our neighbors.
I love it. So, Ellyn, if you had or designed or launched your missional food truck, what do you think it would be?
Okay, so just off the top of my head, I love lemonade shake-ups. They're a thing that I love. So, and they're pretty easy to make, pretty cheap to make. So you sell lemonade shake-ups because they're delicious and easy to make.
And everybody loves them.
Sell those for, enough money that basically the people who are working for the truck are making, their labor, their wages back and their labor and and so they're making their money back, and then you use anything extra, I don't know what you would charge for it to do this, but you take any extra money that you're making and you're providing free meals to people. So something just off of the top of my head, I'm thinking tacos, because tacos are amazing. And the tacos are free to people who just say they need them. So whether these people are without homes or whether these people are just walking down Midtown and they're hungry, there's no questions asked. Just there's free food because it's paid for. We've made enough money off the truck today to provide you with food. So, yeah, just kind of sharing the surplus with everyone.
Do you have a sense of where you drive this truck?
Pretty pretty much all over. So you would sort of make your money on a hot day in Midtown, probably.
All right.
Where people are walking around, where people are spending their day. Especially people with a little bit more money might be spending their day near, kind of near downtown. And then, you're taking the truck off a little further off road into some of the more areas of more disparity and stuff like that, and you're providing free food to people who might need it.
I love this idea of like this truck that is literally doing wealth distribution, like physically, right? You're taking these $20 bills.
Yeah. This is a little bit of a Robin Hood thing. You're selling lemonade to the rich, and you're giving free tacos to the poor.
And you could give the side there for people to also donate for people's meals. You could say,
yeah,
so like buy somebody a meal.
Yeah.
One of our favorite places before it closed, Cafe Con Leche, had this opportunity. Every time you bought a coffee, you could buy a second one for the people that come in needing something to eat. And I always tried to take, participate in that. It just felt really good to have that option. And it's because some business decided they wanted to have both kind of economic good and social good as a part of what they provide for the world.
Yeah, like a pay it forward from the customers.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, thank you for kind of casting the vision for those 2 food trucks that are part of our new missional fleet. And we're collecting those in case anybody is interested in sharing their own online with the hashtag Moto Food Truck. And you can do a little selfie video and kind of cast your vision for what your food truck might be. And Ellyn and Corey, thanks for sharing those. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Before we go, where is it that people can find the work that you're doing, the charities that you're supporting, pictures of your pets? Where do you want to send people online so they can connect with you if they are really inspired by what you're doing?
Oh, geez, we got so much stuff.
You have a website.
I know. I have. Well, yeah. Actually, I have a website, and that actually contains like links to. It will contain links to everything we've discussed, from my blacksmithing Facebook page, to some of our Instagram for our farming stuff, to just other miscellaneous projects that we have going on, and that's disruptivedisciples.com.
Yes, I love it. And we'll add that into the show links. Anything else?
I think that's about it. You can always check out our Facebooks.
That's an option too.
Full of social justice-y sort of mantras and other things. I just kind of go off sometimes. So if you're ready for that, you can check out my Facebook. You can friend me.
I love it. It's not exactly a trigger warning, but I love that you're preparing people. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's there. It's happening.
Well, there you are. Thank you guys for being with us. I'm really glad that you were sent to a parsonage with a forge in it so that you could do that work, Corey. And Ellyn, thanks so much for being part of our conspiracies. Oh, you're okay. Thanks so much for being with us today. And we're praying for all of the good things that are coming from what you're doing now and what you have done in the past. Thanks.
The individual thing.
Nope. We lost our audio.
Oh no.
We can leave and then come back. So.
Well, there they go. They might join us again. Well, friends, you can follow a little bit long. The next 2 weeks is when we're going to be doing these Moto food truck things. So we'll be reaching out in the style of tagging 5 friends each day that we think might have some good ideas for Moto food truck. And we invite you to, share your own vision when you can. And hey guys, thank you so much for jumping back on. We're just finishing up. I just wanted to say thanks one more time. And we'll if some things are coming together around what the previously organized gun buyback thing, let us know if there's any particular links for that time, and we'd love to boost that for you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Sorry, I did it. And I just wanted to also say, I get nervous enough making Alton Brown's ghee popcorn, so I can't imagine working with hot metal. So good work.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you later. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And we will see you all next time. We'll see you here on Thursday. Next week, we're going to be talking with the folks from G's Magazine about their latest issue on disobedience, and they're bringing some longtime participants in social activism to be a part of that conversation. We're really looking forward to that, and you can catch that on our Facebook Live stream, YouTube Live, and there hopefully will be a lot of great opportunities for Q&A during that time. So think of your questions for what does it mean to be disobedient for justice and equity and goodness? Easy questions, right? With that, we wish you all well. We're praying that you will find wonderful ways to pursue God's goodness through community, creativity, and conspiracy wherever you go. Cheers.